Let's check in on the Jean Carroll versus Trump. Alina Habba is being threatened with jail time. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Trump is winning, and he walked out of the courtroom. Here's the details. Let's go. Give us a sub.
Trump walked into the courtroom late.
So it began, as you say, when Donald Trump's team was already late, which the judge noted when he took the bench. Then Donald Trump did enter the courtroom, and they were arguing still before the jury even got in there about a slide that Trump's team wanted to use in their presentation. And Carroll's lawyers said it included things that were not in evidence in the case. The judge said it was out. That's when Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, stood up to challenge the judge on his ruling. He's made it very clear throughout this trial, when he rules, and that's it. She started to challenge him. He had hit his limit and said, "You are on the verge of spending some time in the lockup. Now sit down."
Who talks to a liberated woman like that but some Democrat corrupt judge? Alina Habba wanted to put a tweet in evidence, and usually you have to screen that before the trial. So the judge is mad at her. I don't see the big deal. I see this is a Democrat judge, remember. So anything Trump's team does is going to be just absolute outrage. Oh, I've never seen it before. And Jean Carroll's judge will be like, yes, Trump, give her all your money.
Apparently, the judge told the courtroom no one in the courtroom is to say anything. There were apparently some counsel objections. From which side? I assume it was Trump's side. No interruptions, no audible comments is the quote from the judge.
The judge is trying to stop the free speech. They want to stop Alina Habba from telling the truth and from informing the jury with even more evidence. But even now he's going like, you won't comment on any of it. And by the way, the other side, the plaintiff side, we're already just allowed to say anything they want about Trump.
So now the plaintiff and the defense were talking about certain tweets, not in evidence, possibly to share with the jury. The judge ruled that they are not going to use a certain slide that shows the tweets. And then Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, tried stating that something, quote, just need to state something for the record. The judge interrupted and said, quote, you are on the verge of spending some time in the lockout.
At one point, the judge had to warn defense lawyers they were close to being thrown in the lockup.
By the way, Alina, when she was trying to present this tweet, I will know from clips, videos later, the jury didn't see it. So they didn't see the exchange. So that's what you'd normally lock up a lawyer for, if they poison the jury with information they're not supposed to see. So that wasn't at stake. So again, this is judicial overreach.
Now, then at this point, we were moving into closing arguments. The jury was brought in, and Carroll's team started their statements by telling the jury, what this case was about, the statements that Donald Trump had made. And Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, was specifically saying at this moment that Trump didn't respect the jury verdict last year, and that he hasn't even respected it. He didn't even respect it for 24 hours, because that's when he went on the CNN town hall, repeating the statements that the jury had just found to be defamatory.
So Trump's not allowed to say what he wants. They're allowed to say anything they want about Trump in this court case. Here's a little more information. Here's a little more backfill on that. CNN reported that Trump left the courtroom while Jean Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, was delivering her closing argument, in which she said Trump did not respect the prior jury's verdict.
It was at that moment that Trump got up from his seat, just stood up, turned, and walked out of the courtroom abruptly.
He walked out when the plaintiffs were delivering their closing arguments.
He's free to leave. I know it's a big deal, but it's not like he's breaking rules. He's allowed to leave. This is only seen as an outrage, but Trump, what he's saying in walking out is this whole thing is a Muppet show. And this is the judge trying to defend his honor and defend the rule of law. This whole case was only brought up. It was funded by a Nikki Haley / Hillary Clinton lawyer. And this was meant to influence an election.
President Donald Trump has just walked out of a courtroom as Jean Carroll's lawyer was making closing arguments in the defamation trial. We're going to get a little bit more detail on this.
There are more details and weird rumors that he walked back in, which we'll get to right after this clip.
That moment, the judge interrupted Carroll's attorney, saying for the record, for the court reporter to say that Donald Trump had just got up and left the courtroom. And then Carroll's lawyer continued doing her closing arguments. And on the closing arguments, on the merit of this case, she's reminding the jury that Trump is not above the law, that anyone should be held responsible for statements anyone else would. And so Donald Trump should also, they are asking the jury to award Carroll more than $12 million in this case, John.
Did Trump ever walk back in, Kara, that you saw?
So I got some swirl online by looking this up that Trump might have walked back in. This is the New York Times. Trump returns to defamation trial closing arguments after walking out. So I'm getting mixed messages. I bring up more of these mixed messages later, but here's CNN.
No, Trump hasn't returned. One of his lawyers, Boris Epstein, who works with him on the campaign, did walk back into the courtroom at one point and was standing, and the judge told him, calling him out by name, to sit down. So the judge is not taking any more interruptions in this case, and we have not seen Donald Trump appear. We also haven't seen the motorcade leave, so it appears to still be in the courthouse, just not in the courtroom.
So he's somewhere, presumably inside that courthouse, maybe waiting for when his attorneys present their closing arguments. Any sense of when that will begin?
So Carroll's team has said they would go for about an hour, and they had a little bit of a late start, so she probably has a bit more to go. But then we do expect Alina Habba, Trump's attorney, to do her closing statement. They also estimate that will be an hour, and then the judge will instruct the jury. So I think we are going to look to see if he does return when his lawyer is giving the statements. But what's so interesting, John, at the outset of this, the judge said he didn't want anyone, not the parties, not the individuals, no one in the courtroom, to do anything to interrupt these closing arguments.
Okay, so did Trump apparently left the courtroom but didn't leave the building, and then supposedly he walked back in. He would have for Alina Habba's closing arguments that are going on right now. Former President Donald Trump remained in the courtroom during the E. Jean Carroll's attorney, Sean Crowley's rebuttal, a change in behavior after he left the middle of Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan's closing argument earlier Friday. So that's according to the CNN play-by-play. He did come back in and see another attorney's closing statement. So it sounds like everyone's still trying to guess what's going on in the courtroom. This will all play out over the next 24 hours. We'll bring it to you on the news. In the meanwhile, this is a CNN hack saying, you know, how much money will this end up having Trump pay? Is it the sky's the limit?
They, at the end of the day, there'll be a issue on appeal whether maybe they went too high, but really they're just completely, I think, given the freedom, but a sort of sober task of really what could make them stop. It's only money, so how high can you go?
So here they're saying that the amount of money against Trump that they're going to have him pay is to keep him from talking more about it. And that's a very different story than paying damages, monetary damages to E. Jean Carroll's reputation. So I don't get that. He also said if they ask for too much, Trump can appeal. I hope Trump does appeal this and delay it all the way past the election. We'll keep you posted on the Trump versus E. Jean Carroll money grab right here